UFC 302 just wrapped up, and I have to say, this card was not as good as I expected. From the get go, it was really top two main and co main event heavy. So it wasn't like it was necessarily a stacked card at all. But the Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa fight was just atrocious. It was not good at all. I have no idea how Sean Strickland actually believes he deserves a title shot off of that fight. Um, that was a very bad performance, and Eric Nixick was telling him as much in the corner, saying that he was just leaving it too close for his comfort, and that was just a reality in the same way that I felt, and the same way that a lot of people felt. And then he gets a split decision, and he's crying about it, and I think that he Paulo definitely did not win all the rounds like that judge did, but I actually scored this fight for Paulo Costa. I thought, like MMA Joey said, that Costa won 1 and 2 with the leg kicks, just based off of them. Strickland was able to um, flash knock him down, but it didn't really seem like real knockdowns, like he was hurt. It just seemed like he lost his balance. So Costa was winning the majority of the round. He gets like flash knockdown. He suddenly loses a round. I wouldn't say so. I gave rounds 1 and 2 to Paulo Costa, and I gave the fourth round to Paulo Costa. I gave the third round to Strickland, and I gave the fifth round to Strickland. And the only reason I gave the fifth round to Strickland was because of that barrage at the end, the last 10 seconds of the fight. Strickland was doing absolutely nothing in this fight. And then he has the audacity to say that Costa wasn't doing anything. He wasn't doing anything at all. That's how he lost his fight with Dricus. That's how he lost to Cannonier. And I actually believe he lost this fight. So, in my opinion, he's coming off a 2-fight losing streak, and he says he's going to sit down and wait for the next title shot, which is likely going to be um, at least 6 months from now, because we need to get Enriquez versus Izzy in August, and then apparently the winner of Whitaker versus Chimaev is going to get the next crack. So that would leave Sean Strickland sidelined until the beginning of 2025. But with performances like this, does anyone want to see him in the title picture? I mean, I don't mean to shit on the guy, but he never defended the belt. He arguably lost this fight, and he's just going to sit out for 6 months. Like, this fight was not even good. So how are we supposed to be excited to see him fight for the title again? It just doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't make any sense at all, and it just a lot of entitlement, and I did not expect that out of him, frankly. Um, to me, he lost to Dricus 3-2. He lost to Costa 3-2. And the judges in this fight card were very, very bad. Moving on to the main event, Islam Makachev versus Dustin Poirier. Well, another reason why this fight card wasn't necessarily the best, because the outcomes were very predictable. There was no like, oh my god moment like when Leon Edwards knocked out Kamaru Usman with less than a minute left, or anything like that, like Holloway knocking out Gaethje in the last 10 seconds. It was really predictable. Islam submitting DP was the most favorite way to win, essentially, by the numbers. And that's literally what happened. And it's a solid win for Islam, however. I think it's a solid win for him. It goes up there with his wins over Volkanovski and Charles. And DP's one of the greatest lightweights ever, so it's a great win for him. And for DP, it's a great way to go out. It's a great way to go out. It was a great showing of his skills, of his heart, like a 5 round war, because I would classify this as a war. He showed his heart, his grit, his determination, his focus, his ability to stop takedowns, his submission defense. Like Islam was, they were both dry in the first round, and Islam could not submit him with all the amount of time that he had on the ground. So DP showed a great showing for himself, but for DP to win this fight, he basically needed to knock him out. There was just no other way to do so, and he cracked him at one point, like clean to the chin. But Islam just took it. Islam just took it. He's been knocked out only once, and duplicating that, it's hard. I mean, because he does have a chin himself, and he defends really well. So I think the main event was definitely the best fight of the card. Um, and like this whole fight card essentially like was about the main event, and just disappointed that the co-main was such a big letdown, and it's hard to know what one does with those other fighters, because Chun's saying he's just going to sit down until he gets the next title shot, which I'm not excited about at all. And then Paulo, like, where does he go from here? Even though I thought he won, he officially lost. He's essentially lost to everybody. He's lost to Whitaker. Now he's lost to Strickland. He's lost to who else? Before that, he lost the Marvin Vettori fight. He lost to Adesanya already. His only win in between was Luke Rockhold, who was old already and everything, rusty, coming off a big losing streak. So this one really affects Paulo Costa in terms of his career and his ability to keep fighting at the top of the division. Who's there for Costa to fight left? Only Cannonier, I would say. But if Cannonier wins, he's not going to want to fight backwards. If Costa actually had gotten the nod, then one could have made Costa versus Cannonier, which apparently was intended for initially for this fight card. But considering that Cannonier is already ahead of him on the rankings, and Costa now is probably just has another L, might drop even more, and Cannonier, if he wins this next one, is going to ascend even more. Cannonier is likely not going to want to take that fight. And that's not a fight that I love for Costa anyway. So Costa's kind of in a strange spot. And with not a lot of people to fight, at least big name people for the amount of money that he's making in his fights. Yeah, that basically leaves Islam to fight Arman. It's hard to get too excited about that one. We already saw it. Islam won all 3 rounds. I frankly didn't even think that Arman won his last fight against Charles. He definitely lost the first round, and the second and third round he ended in chokes. Like, had the rounds not ended, like, he likely would have been finished by Charles. So I frankly would have preferred to see Charles versus Islam than Islam versus Arman. Even if it's a 5 round decision, I give the edge to Islam in literally every aspect of mixed martial arts: striking, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, fight IQ, everything. I don't think that he's bigger than Arman by quite a bit, like 5'8" to 5'11" at least, or 5'7" to 5'11". Yeah, I see Islam winning that fight by decision at least, or maybe even submitting him, or even getting a TKO. So, not too excited about that one. I would be more excited again to see a rematch between Charles and Islam, or to just see Islam fighting Leon for the 170 belt. Like and subscribe.